Aries, hello, Amanda here. Welcome to Unseen Hands Healing. This is going to be your small story reading for January. So, for those of you who are new, in these small story readings, I choose a book off of my shelf that seems to be wanting to speak to you. I turn to a passage at random and I will read to you what is coming through, and then we will pull some cards to illuminate that story and see how it unfolds and how it might apply to you. So a really interesting book wanted to come through for you today. It's a book about the X-Files, okay? It says, The Book of the Unexplained, Volume 2. There are 2 volumes of this, which is amazing. It's a really fun book that really dives into the episodes of the X-Files, that TV show, and how that... and how many of the episodes relate to real events in US history and beyond. And so the passage that I turned to for you today here, just look at this book. It's so amazing. And it came with an X-Files bookmark. So I'm into it. Okay, so here's what's coming through. I'm going to read this to you. A little bit of context, this chapter is talking about the role of conspiracy in the X-Files, and this chapter so far has been talking about Nazi war crimes and the experimentation that was done on people, on the Jews in particular. And now we're getting into this section, and I'll start with this quote. It's a quote from an actual episode here of the X-Men, and it says, "Science will save humanity or science will destroy it, Miss Scully. The ruler of the world is no longer the country with the bravest soldiers, but the greatest scientists. Ishimaru was one of those men." Context. A few episodes later, the X-Files ventured even further into the realm of real-life conspiracy with the 2-part story told in Nisei and 731. These are the names of episodes. In terms of horror, as Frank Spotnitz, writer of 731, puts it, it's hard to rival the truth. In these episodes, we meet Japanese war criminal Dr. Ishimaru, who was involved with the unimaginable barbarity that took place at a covert research center known as Unit 731. He was not punished for his war crimes, but was given sanctuary and invited to share his findings with the US authorities and continue his work in America. This is essentially a true story. Here's another quote from Scully. "Ishimaru is a butcher." The response? "In a world of madmen, knowledge supersedes morality." Couple things coming through here. So the very first quote here, "Science will save humanity or science will destroy it. The ruler of the world is no longer the country with the bravest soldiers, but the greatest scientists." This is speaking to me of like this point in human evolution that we have been in for quite some time and that we are finding ourselves in now, as this whole chapter is about like biological and chemical warfare. Like the power of the human brain is at such a point where we're either going to kill ourselves with the power of our own intelligence, or we could use the power of that intelligence to be our own saviors. And that's so topical for where we are in this moment in time, even astrologically coming up here with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. It is a huge crux point. This hasn't happened in 36 years, and it hasn't happened in Capricorn for far longer than that, since the 1500s. And so here we are at this massive crux point in humanity saying, how are we using consciousness? And I think that's really what this passage wants to speak to. Knowledge supersedes morality only in a world of madmen. Heavy energy here, starting off your reading, Aries. Let's see where this is going. Okay, I'm using the Next World Tarot to illuminate this small story for you. Okay. Give me a little shuffle here. And then I'll draw 3 cards. Let's see. Interesting. Okay, here's what we got. Oh, wow. The Four of Wands, the High Priestess, and the Sun. Well, first of all, you know, in this deck in particular, there's little labels down here for the creator's interpretation of the planetary association with the card. And for this, it is Cancer, the sign of Cancer, the element of water, and the moon. And we've got a Cancer lunar eclipse coming up this week at the time of that I'm recording this. So this feels pretty significant in terms of like that Cancer full moon eclipse being center stage of this reading, front and center here. And the energy specifically of the High Priestess coming through that, you know, the priestess speaks about secrets yet to be revealed. Often it speaks of the mysteries that are part of the human capacity for, you know, the mysteries within all of us, but also the mysteries beyond us. It speaks of intuition. It speaks of wanting to dive deeper to understand things that are largely unseen. Okay, the other 2 cards, we have the Four of Wands, which is labeled Harmony, Venus and Aries. Hi, Aries. There you are. Fire energy. It's interesting because we've got the Priestess right at the center, flanked by this fire energy of the Four of Wands and the Sun. And they're both looking up in the same direction. Notice that? This person in the Four of Wands is playing an instrument. And they've got their eyes closed, or perhaps they have limited sight, physical sight. There's something about limited physical sight, very deep, intuitive inner sight. Even this person in the Priestess has glasses on, which I've never really been drawn to before, but in combination with the Four of Wands, which I'm always drawn to this person's eyes. There's something here about the limited vision, physical vision of humanity. I'm getting like near, I'm going to say it wrong. Is it farsightedness that can only see up close, or nearsightedness? I think it's farsightedness, can only see up close, can't see far away. That's kind of what I'm picking up on, is this ability to only really see up close. We can only really see what is right here in front of us. We don't have the vision, especially not the physical vision, to see far, far ahead in time. But perhaps we have more of an intuitive vision to feel forward in time. We can't necessarily see the future, but could we feel it? Could we feel the implications of our present actions down the line? I think that's the question that this reading is posing. It's a much larger collective message coming through for sure, but Aries, I guarantee that this is a message that is applying to your life in some way, your specific individual life, especially again with Saturn and Pluto meeting up in Capricorn. This is a moment of consequences. It is a moment of Saturn coming in with order, with discipline, with maturity, and Pluto coming in as the Lord of the Underworld, with the Sith, with the instrument of death to cut away what can no longer be part of us. You know, if Saturn is the planet of maturity, then Pluto is consequences. And so here we have the two of those meeting up, and there's something here about our actions in the present amplifying much larger, and there's a question of consequences for our limited sightedness, our limited sight, our limited vision. The only person in this whole spread with crystal clear 2020 vision, 2020, interesting, is the child, represented in the sun card here. Fire energy. Which is quite beautiful, Aries, because you are the child of the zodiac. You are the first sign. Your myth is a myth of just emerging into the world as a newborn. Just getting your sea legs in this whole being human thing. That is the essential energy of Aries. And so here we have this child that seems to be the only person here that can see clearly and is pointing to something very specific, which is the sun, which is beautiful because it's a card that talks about joy, and it's a card that talks about an application of our fire energy in a way that brings happiness and illumination and clear sight. This reading is ending up entirely, interestingly, about clear sight and having foresight, despite our inability to entirely predict the future as human beings. At least that is my belief. The High Priestess is here with this power radiating from her chest that says, yeah, you might not be able to know the future or see the future, but doesn't part of you know it? Doesn't part of you feel the larger ripple effect of your specific actions and our collective actions? I'm going to show you the full spread one more time before closing this part of the reading. Notice again, harmony and happiness here. Two of the most auspicious cards in the tarot. Two cards that people long to receive from tarot readings. The Four of Wands and the Sun. They are both looking up in the same direction. While the Four of Wands, and it's interesting too, because 2020, 2 + 2 is 4. We are in a number 4 year. 4 talks about structure. And here we have the Four of Wands that asks, what is the structure for all of our fire? Aries, what is the structure for your fire? The thing about, and fire meaning the expression of your soul, creativity, passion, desire. Which is why we see someone just absolutely, I feel her just becoming one with the music that she is playing here. Her soul absolutely being expressed through the music, and here she is in between these Four Wands, 1111. It's a portal. And it's so interesting too that this reading is coming out in anticipation of the closing aspect of this eclipse portal that we are in, with the Cancer lunar eclipse that follows the Capricorn solar eclipse on December 26th. Here we are approaching this Cancer lunar eclipse, Priestess. And it's asking us, what is the structure? It's asking you, Aries, specifically in this reading, what is the structure for your fire? And there's a fluidity in the structure of the Four of Wands. You know, the Four of Fire needs to have a little more freedom, a little more room to breathe, needs a little more oxygen and open space and room to play than, for example, the Four of Earth, the Four of Pentacles, which is a bit more rigid, a bit more structured, a bit more tangibly, physically structured, talks a little bit more about limitations. This actually talks about an open structure, a more open, free form structure. That doesn't mean chaos. It doesn't mean completely without structure. It just means allowing yourself some freedom so that your expression can be organic. The expression of your fire can be organic. And you can become one with your music, whatever your music means to you. Maybe I'm speaking to a musician, an artist, someone like that. It's like you need a structure that is both dependable, but also super fluid and free and open for you to successfully merge with your creative fire, the expression of your soul, and be able to carry out that artistic purpose. And here in the harmony, you know, that's what harmony means to me. Is this like successful blending, the successful merging. It's an alchemy, essentially a structure for alchemy, for the expression of your soul. And you may not be able to see that structure, but perhaps you can feel it, Aries. And the High Priestess asks you to go beyond what you can see with your eyes and move from a space of what you can feel in the unseen part of your being. Because that part of your being, I think, looks more like this. It looks more like this child. The child that you actually are, Aries. Allowing this child to, it's almost like this child is inside of the priestess. That's how I'm seeing it. It's like this little being, if you just like shrink this child down and place it right here at the core of the priestess here in this amulet, in this gem. This is the one leading you forward now, Aries. This is the one leading you forward, because actually, despite the fact that you can't see physical living evidence of this child, that this energy, this childlike joy-seeking, pleasure-seeking, illumination sun-seeking, this like sun seeker, this fire seeker inside of you is the only one with clear sight in this whole reading. The only one with complete, clear, external sight. And this and that energy lives deeply inside of you somewhere unseen. Okay, wow. Aries. What a reading. For all of us, and especially for you. So I'm going to take this into an extended reading where we really flesh out what this means for you in particular. Okay, this was a bit of a larger collective reading here, and now we're going to flesh this out. We're going to get clarity, use other decks to pull cards on what is this Four of Wands, what is this structure for you to merge with the expression of your soul, and perhaps what does this Cancer lunar eclipse mean for you in particular, Aries, and how do you move forward in the light of the sun? All right, if that sounds interesting to you, my friend, please do stick around. I'm going to put a little preview at the end of this reading, which will give you a glimpse into what the extended reading ends up looking like. If that feels resonant to you and you would like to view the whole thing, you can view it instantly on Vimeo, okay? Click the link below. That will take you right over to Vimeo where you will be able to view this extended reading. So perhaps I'll see some of you over there. All right, Aries, happy 2020, happy new year. Good luck this week and take care. It's like you are so in touch with this childlike sun seeker inside of you. And then there's these like parents, the inner child and the inner parent, essentially. Here comes these parents inside of you, like, okay, great. Here's how we direct this. Here's how we gently guide this child and all of the energy that the child has in order for them to become this, which is like the highest intuitive emotional version of yourself, the one who knows the deepest at the deepest level and moves forward from a place of deep inner connection and intuitive connection. And then like, this is that person walking around. If this is what that person looks like, that energy looks like inside of you, this is what that energy looks like walking around the world. Single, independent. I'm not saying you have to be single like romantically, although that energy is really here. That energy, especially with the Queen of Swords using discernment with the lovers and like all of this emotional, like possibly romantic spinning, there is this energy of like, hey, maybe this moment is here for you to focus on you. I don't see anybody else in this reading. And if they are, the whispers of them are present. The romantic situations are present. They are not necessarily positive. They're not necessarily the vehicle that's moving you forward. The boat that's going to move you forward, dear Aries, is you.